Hello everyone, I'm Julie Hedges and thank you for joining me on the tarot journey for this super Saturday update. And I want to talk a little bit about the Hanged Man today. I'm going to pull him up. The Hanged Man. That's reversed. This is what he normally looks like. The Hanged Man. Card number 12. You know, I was flipping through my book, doing a lot of local sales of my book. And here is my book, The Tarot Journey Volume 1 by Julie Hedges. This is a well-loved copy. It gets a lot of flip-throughs and a lot of reading. And so I was looking through my book and I decided to focus on the Hanged Man today. The chapter in my book about the Hanged Man is called Surrender to the Seasons. And I wanted to read a little bit of this excerpt and then talk about the topic today, which is the Hanged Man and being passionate. So, little different energies, a little different thoughts. So I'm bridging what I have previously published in the Tarot Journey Volume 1 and this the chapter, The Hanged Man, Surrender to the Seasons. Here we go. What I wrote before and what it means today about being passionate. So let me read this little excerpt to you about the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man of the Major Arcana holds the energy of surrender and reflection. He is the man of the world whose physical circumstances now propose a radical shift in perspective. Instead of being active, bopping around in his daily life, his energy is purely internal. He cannot move forward with plans and actions. His outward progress stops, and he is completely immobile. However, upon closer inspection, we notice his countenance glows with an inner light. Although he is not interacting with the world on a physical level, he still connects with the pace of planet Earth. His eyes reflect the inner workings of his bright mind, and he is illuminated in his interior home. Let's see here. For the Hanged Man, his season is surrender and his energy is release. Yet he still carries within him the seeds of all the elemental energies, nurtured by the tree of life. He is promised the season of sowing and the energy of intention. He remembers the season of expansion and the energy of flourishing. And he cherishes the season of ripeness and the energy of fulfillment. He hangs inactive only for a time. His calm expression indicates a peacefulness with this season of inner growth while the world spins around him. So I was reading that chapter today and it got me thinking about the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man and being passionate. So I just read you the excerpt from my book, but this is the Hanged Man and being passionate. What does it mean to be passionate and also to embody the energy of the Hanged Man? Well, in the book is about surrender and release. You know, here he is, he's hanging upside down by his leg. He's not going anywhere. He's not going on a trip. He's not exploring the world. He's just hanging out. He's just hanging out. And one would say he's hanging by a thread, right? This little rope here. He's hanging by a thread. But look how he glows. Look at how he is enlightened. And he's not doing anything, so his hands are behind his back. His other leg is tucked behind him peacefully. He's not flailing on this rope trying to get away. He's just peaceful. He's hanging out and he's peaceful. So how does that work with being passionate? That's a good question for myself. That's a good question to contemplate. How can you be, or how can I be passionate and also be self-contained and self-illuminated without flailing about in the world, without having to constantly be active, if I am in a season of surrender and release? I'm going to say very honestly that that is the hardest for me. And it feels like personally that is a place where I am, where I have lots of passions, have lots of motivation, I have lots of full steam ahead, I want to get things done, but I am in a place of surrender and release. And just to be very transparent, unlike the Hanged Man, I have been flailing around on my rope. So this excerpt today comes to me for a lesson. How to bridge being passionate with the energy of the Hanged Man. How to be passionate but also be surrendering. How to embody my motivations but still experience release, or understand, or be, how do I want to say, or be okay with release. Those are things to balance within myself. And I don't know if I have the answers yet. I think I've just formed the question. I think I've just formed the question about the Hanged Man and being passionate. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to leave it with the Hanged Man and what he can say about being passionate. How you can be passionate and still surrender to what is. I like the teachings of the law of attraction, that you get what you think about, wanted or unwanted. That the universe only knows magnetism, pulling things together, like things with like things. So the teaching says, if you say, come here this thing I want, $1 million. Come here this thing I want. And so the creative components start bringing those to you. It doesn't always translate into your bank account. I can tell you I don't have $1 million in my bank account. But the energy is out there gathering. Oh, she wants $1 million. She wants $1 million. But also the energy gathers if we put out there the things that we don't want. I don't want all these bills. I don't want a poverty consciousness. So those things are gathering too. That's how the law of attraction works. Come to me this thing that I want, and also come to me this thing that I do not want. So that's why some of the principles of, oh, if I just think about it, if I feel it, then it'll come to me. Because on one hand, that's what that teaches. But when we are even spouting from our own mouths the things we want and the things we don't want, the things that are working, the things that aren't working, it just creates this kind of soupy mess of not clear. If you were ever a kid and you went to the soda fountain and you pushed every one of those soda dispensers into your cup. When we were kids, we called that a suicide. I know it's so silly. But you put every single one of those drinks in the cup. Hi, Tracy. Call that a suicide. And so that's what happens in the law of attraction when we are not clear. So how can I be passionate and surrender to what is? How can I be passionate about what I want and still be, when I say surrender, it doesn't mean that I'm just flat on my back not doing anything, but I'm like, okay, I ain't driving this bus. I'm just going to let it be. How can I be passionate and also surrender? And how can I be motivated and experience release? Release of expectation. Ooh, that kind of really stings me this morning. Releasing expectation. Because I want to know that when I work really hard at something, when I plant the seed, that it's going to grow. And not only is it going to grow, but it's going to be here tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow, bloomed, fully flourished, and that's going to be in my bank account. All of those things. So how can I surrender and release, yet be energized, passionate, and motivated? So for those of you watching today, I just want to do a little Super Saturday shuffle and do a little card reading for us. A little motivation, a little Super Saturday love. This is interesting. And this is the Universal Weight deck that I'm using. The Universal Weight deck. I call this the little black dress of the tarot, right? It's very classy and classic, and it's a good starter deck. It's a good teaching deck. That's the one that I use when I teach the tarot. And thank you, by the way, for following this page, subscribing to this page. My live stream shows are on the third Monday of every month, the Tarot Journey Show, powered by Be Live TV and Star Nations Organization. I do live mini readings on my show, so please join me for that, the Tarot Journey Show. And I focus on the ancient tarot and astrology and wisdom teachings and sacred sound healing too. So, alrighty. Our group card for today on Super Saturday is the Six of Swords. This card has two parts to it. The first part here, you can see the man, the woman, and the child are all facing away from the viewer, facing away from the camera, facing away from the artist. So totally turned backward, right? Totally turned around and facing into the water. So it's completely turning your back on what has been. And with the swords represent air. Swords represent thought, communication. So this is representing for us turning our backs on old thoughts, old words, old stories that we've told about ourselves, to ourselves. We've told other people, turning our backs on that, and then opening up to the new stories. But I'm going to be honest with you. You know, there's not a lot of jumping up and down in this card. It's hard to leave stuff behind. It's hard to leave that old story behind that you've told over and over again about nobody loves me, everybody hates me, I might as well just eat worms and die. That's just from a book I read when I was a kid, right? Might as well eat worms and die. One of those young adult novels. It's hard when you're telling those stories. It's hard when you are in very severe physical pain, and the pain is so loud and so strong that it just resonates throughout your whole being, and it's hard to not talk about that. It's hard to turn your back into the waters of the unknown. I'm sorry, my camera kind of keeps going in and out with the focus. So they're going into the unknown waters. It's hard to head to the unknown with what you have back behind you is familiar. You're heading into the waters of the unknown. What new story is being rewoven? What new thoughts are on the horizon? It's hard. Hey, and just because I do this work doesn't mean I get a pass. I still have days where the old thoughts and the old stories and the old practices, the old mental habits, the old ways that I communicate still want to come creeping up, the old dreams. So this is a great reminder of all of us going forward. The Six of Swords. Six of Swords. And as I close for this particular session, this Super Saturday, I want to do a little chakra blessing. I'm going to show you. This is one of our pendants. Let me put this up on camera. This is one of our pendants that we make as R&J Chakra Jewelry. I am part of a design pair. I'm the J part of R&J Chakra Jewelry. If you probably figured that out though. So here is one of our wire wrapped pendants. This particular piece is made by Marilla. She's called Rilla by her friends. So she is the R part. I'm Julie. I'm the J part of R&J Chakra Jewelry. And so I want to do a little blessing, a chakra blessing for us as we close today. So we have the root with onyx, the sacral for carnelian, solar plexus. This is a dark tiger eye. I love that energy for solar plexus. The heart is a green aventurine. For the throat, we have lapis lazuli. For the third eye, we have amethyst. And for our crown, we have clear quartz. So doing a little chakra blessing. So if you want to put your feet on the floor, take a breath and exhale. And again, and focus on the chakra pendant. I'm going to pull it back a little bit so you can see the colors a little bit better. And repeat after me. I am grounded and steady. I am creative and whole. My will shines with the passion of the divine infinite source. I love and am loved completely and deeply. I speak from who I am. I am wise. I make clear decisions, and I perceive in my mind and my higher mind. And I am always connected to the one infinite source of love. Thank you for joining me on this Super Saturday. May the peace that surpasses all human understanding be with you today and always. Om Shanti.